naturally, I think there is also this narrative that women have been fed time and again, where you have been told that pain is a part of the package in every way, I think, emotionally, physically. And that's something you start believing in. And when it came to, my formative years, post puberty, being in high school, I was bullied a lot as well for being a big girl, for having excessive body hair, and, facial hair was a big deal. There was this one manufacturer who went like, अच्छा पर अगर अगर कि अच्छा अगर आपने जब तक आप दरवाजा खोलो और रूम स्ट्रॉबेरी से नहीं भर जाता, मतलब फ्रेग्रेंस स्ट्रॉबेरी से नहीं भर जाती, मूड नहीं सेट होता. वी वांट टू मेक अ प्रोडक्ट दैट्स pH balanced, so it avoids any itches, rashes, or UTIs or yeast infections that women currently might be experiencing, or facing problems with using other mass market lubricants. And secondly, it has to be unflavored.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Stories You Should Know, a podcast that brings you inspiring stories of people from all around the world. I am Tarushi, and my guest today is a very sassy lady who's making the much needed noise about sexual health and breaking stereotypes one product at a time. Please welcome Sachee Malhotra, the founder of That Sassy Thing. Hi, Sassy. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, and for that amazing and sassy introduction.
I think
Really
I
nice.
think what you're doing is much beyond being sassy. It takes a lot of guts and to be really, really bold. So congratulations on your venture.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, please, please.
Yeah, I mean, you said that it takes a lot of guts. I think I'm gathering those guts, with each passing day, and trying to be more and more gutsy and bold. But yeah, thanks so much, and please continue.
I want to kickstart the entire conversation with three words, which I know you are, motivated in making them a part of a normal conversation, which are considered taboo, which is vagina, sex, and periods. I mean, okay, so I am talking on behalf of a very small collective group of women who are okay talking about these things. And then there is you who's making products associated to these terms and then selling it in market. Tell me, how did you come up with the idea of that sassy thing and especially introducing sexual and menstrual products into it?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to add one more, term to those three words as well. Yeah, which is body hair. I think that's another huge
Yes,
taboo that exists,
true.
and especially when it comes to women. Um, so yeah, it's vagina, period, sex, body hair, and I think the list is never ending. But the idea kind of came about from my personal struggles, because I have dealt with, and I'm still dealing with, PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is an hormonal imbalance that happens to 1 in 5 women in India. So it's very common, but still not spoken about as much. So there are a lot of taboos associated with it, because it affects different parts of your body. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. So honest, I think one thing that I want to also add is that I'm sharing my personal experiences, and my struggles with the condition, and I'm not giving any medical advice or anything like that. So for me, it included a lot of different symptoms, like having excessive body hair, excessive facial hair, also. Then, being big, finding periods really painful, finding sex really painful, and not being able to talk about any of these things. And when it came to, my formative years, post puberty, being in high school, I was bullied a lot as well for being a big girl, for having excessive body hair, and, facial hair was a big deal also, right? Like, women are not supposed to have hair on, particular parts of their body.
On
um
any part of your body. Like we are supposed to be like hair free all the time.
exactly. And I mean, obviously there are parts you can hide, right? But your face is something which is right there, out and about. So for me, it included sitting in school like this, cross armed, with my palms on my cheek, trying to hide, each and every ounce of hair that I have on my face, but not being able to do it successfully at all. So that played a huge toll on my mental health, on how I perceived myself. Self image issues arose from there. There were body image issues as well. So all those things coupled together always wanted me to sorry always made me want to do something about it, but I didn't really understand what I could do, how I could do it, or when I could do it as well. I wanted to talk about these things that are not normalized when it comes to women and their bodies. So yeah, I think on a subconscious level it was always there at the back of my mind. And now, like, moving on, fast forwarding a little bit, I get out of school. I did my undergrad in finance from Delhi University. I did BCom honors. Then I later realized that my passion was, more in marketing, branding, advertising. So I was in advertising. I worked there in advertising for around 8 years, and that led me to working on some health brands, publishing brands, some pharmacy brands, so on and so forth. And I understood what was happening in the industry, and I worked on some sexual health brands as well. um, Figured that the industry felt very skewed towards men, focusing on male pleasure, and also the products that were being made were in the sexual wellness category, were made for men, targeted at men, and made by companies that were
Right.
being run by men as well. um, so I realized that there was a gap there, and where did the female perspective go? It was completely missing. Then after that, I actually did my masters in brand communication strategy from the US. And so this was 2 years, from 2016 to 18 I was doing that. And one of my projects in grad school included a project on a sexual wellness brand in the US. Again, I had similar learnings that it was hyper masculine. Female perspective was completely ignored here too, and the products were very male centric. So that led me to research more about what was happening in India at that time as well. And I came back to India. I worked on building some other direct to consumer brands in the personal care space, in the health space in India, from a very communication and brand positioning standpoint. I was working as a brand strategist at a creative agency here in Delhi. So side by side, I kept having these thoughts, and I also was researching the different lubricants that existed in the sexual wellness category, and what the market was like in India as well. And I found out that yes, there were most flavored lubricants that existed, and flavored lubes are something that are meant for oral sex, and again targeted at men for blowjobs specifically. So they want products, designed keeping women in mind and their pleasure, prioritizing their pleasure.
Right.
um yeah, so all those learnings coupled together wanted me to do something about this and actually bring female pleasure to the forefront as well. And of course, my personal struggles dealing with painful periods was another point of contention for me, where I wanted to do something about it, because I was popping a lot of pills when I was on my periods, and realized that there are long term harmful effects to popping painkillers in the long run. So I wanted to create an all natural product that was effective enough, because I did see what was out there in the market in terms of different period pain relief products, but again couldn't find something that was super effective and also transparent in terms of the kind of ingredients that they were using completely. A lot of brands would not they are not required to list down each and every ingredient in their label. So we are conscious about that, and we believe in transparently telling people what they're putting in their bodies. And so we list down each and every ingredient, and we educate consumers about that as well. So yeah, I think it was all these things that kind of came together. The idea was brewing. I was working on the brand, on actually launching it for 2 years, and finally we launched it in December 2020.
Right.
It's the pandemic. So yeah.
I mean, from what I gather, and also after years of seeing online and marketings and everything that's with these kind of products, right now we are in a zone where people have started talking about periods to start
Yes.
with, to begin with, right? Periods have become like now
Yeah.
a more common part of conversation, and I'll still say only of the urban households. Rural, I'm not even going over there right now. But then you were talking about the products which include sexual pleasures, right? And now you are making it into a business. How was it when you were working on this project of yours, and then you were telling your friends and family? Because there, of course there must be a kind of research that must have happened
Yeah. Yeah.
within the friend circle, within the family circle, that okay,
Yes.
these are the products I'm making. Would you like to use them? Would you try it out for me? What was the conversation that was happening at your end when these products were being made and you were thinking about it and you were telling people about them?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to rewind a little bit and tell you. So the 2 years that I was spending, obviously, massive research went into first me figuring out what's in the market. What are the pain points, talking to women, what they don't like about a lot of existing lubricants that do exist in the market. Secondly, also researching what products are out there globally as well, and what we can learn from them. So a lot of hard earned rupees and dollars went into actually figuring out and learning from different products and what was good and what was bad in them. Then also getting an external formulation consultant on board, a cosmetologist who was already making all natural products, keeping women in mind as well. I think all that I would also like to bring about. Apart from that, there was a huge challenge that I faced when I was finding manufacturers also, because you were talking about the kind of reactions I got when we were in the idea phase. So that of course included working with we have contract manufacturers, right?
Right.
So working with external manufacturers, so it was very difficult for me to explain to them why do I need all natural products. Because what would happen was that one or two manufacturers would come and tell me things like, अच्छा बट 0.0001% अगर हमने ये propylene glycol डाल दिया, which is a petroleum based ingredient, so it doesn't matter, for stability हम ये ingredient use कर सकते हैं. It's just a very minute amount of chemical, but I was like a harmful chemical, which I was not okay with at all. So that's why I had a lot of resistance also, with manufacturers as well. And it was difficult for me to narrow down on someone who completely understood my vision कि okay, मैं ये all natural products free of any harmful chemicals क्यों बनाना चाहती हूँ, और मैं ये for women क्यों बनाना चाहती हूँ also. Then I think combining all those things, and this is a challenge I still face, I guess it is also being a woman entrepreneur. There are so many things that you read about. Okay, if you're a woman entrepreneur, there would be different set of challenges. There's a lot of sexism that you face. I read about all those things, I heard other people's experiences. um, but I never thought that okay, I'd have to go through those things as well. I thought okay, these things do happen
Yeah.
at times. But yes, I did face a lot of those things as well, from manufacturers also, who would I would ask them a lot of questions, regarding product, regarding ingredients, regarding process, everything. So I've heard things like madam google kar lo, itne sawal mat pucho types, stuff like that.
Right.
Or include a male in the conversation, things like that. So assuming that maybe I'm not, I guess, capable enough to handle such scenario.
I, because this is exactly the kind of thing that I have been hearing and at some point of time experienced also, because the majority part of people involved in any of the industry
Hmm.
is men.
Hmm.
And it's always like that, if there's a man in a conversation and if he's doing this particular thing, everything would be all right. When a woman doing it, it's always questionable, or why you're doing it. And then you are asking about products and asking them to make products about sexual pleasures
Yeah.
and menstrual health,
Yeah.
which is another task.
Yeah.
And making them understand about women's sexual pleasure and menstrual pain is nowhere that I don't think so they can understand.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Yeah.
This point that you brought about, right? I want to add like a funny incident that happened, for this as well. So one manufacturer who we decided later not to work with, told me, so we were very particular. Like I said that I don't want the product to be, the lubricant to be flavored. It has to be unflavored. It has to be completely natural. No added sugars, because all those things, flavors, added, artificial sugars, they throw off the vaginal pH levels. So that's something we were very conscious about. We want to make a product that's pH balanced. So, it avoids any itches, rashes, or UTIs or yeast infections that women currently might be experiencing, or, facing problems with using other mass market lubricants. And secondly, it has to be unflavored. And then there was this one manufacturer who went like, अच्छा पर अगर अगर okay, I'm going to say this, tell you as it is, like in Hindi how we said it, कि अच्छा अगर आपने जब तक आप दरवाजा खोलो और रूम स्ट्रॉबेरी से नहीं भर जाता, मतलब फ्रेग्रेंस स्ट्रॉबेरी से नहीं भर जाती, मूड नहीं सेट होता. so
Oh,
so there was
wow.
things like that, and I was just like, oh my god, where do I even begin? um so yeah, so I think those little things, but also on a daily basis, um, you know, you are working with men also as employees as well, and there are times where you are labeled as bossy or aggressive in a way, right? If you're getting shit done. So it's sad, and men don't get those labels if they are in a position of power and getting things done. But yeah, I mean that's something I recently experienced, and I think it's not just men, but a lot of times women also say a
True.
lot of such things.
Yes.
So actually, I was in conversations um, with some investors recently, and a woman investor said something like, why don't you ask your husband or your father to fund this for you, stuff like that. So I feel like those things kind of belittle all the hard work and also the investment that you put in yourself in a way, right? For me personally, my life savings have gone into this business, but I think once you pass comments like that without knowing where a person is coming from as well, I think then you kind of belittle things, and you don't really acknowledge or appreciate what the person is bringing on board. Or
Right.
questions like, what does your father do, for example? But I just feel like all those things are kind of irrelevant to my business, and where I'm coming from and what I'm bringing on the table as well. And I feel like there are so many times women are thrown such questions, but men are not thrown such questions, right? When will someone come up to a man and ask them these things as well when they're running their own business? So
I
I
have
think,
noted this is one thing that I've been hearing from a lot of people, and the thing is, so whenever I talk to women entrepreneurs, right, and we start talking about conversations that happen around them, and
yeah,
everything comes down to sexism. And
yeah,
then when these points are presented in front of the society, I hear it from a lot
yeah,
of people that why do all your conversations end up being about sexism? If you're talking to some woman entrepreneur, why don't you talk about, how she got the strength and how she did this thing and how she got that thing? And my point is always that, there is always a struggle, of course, in everyone's
yeah,
life in putting up a business. But
yeah,
there is one extra struggle when there is a woman entrepreneur, and that is dealing with sexism. That's why it become a very important part of the conversation. And
yeah. And I,
people very struggle to understand this thing, and then they think that, oh, then so you are not you do not promote gender equality because you just want to talk about women's struggle. I said, see, this is not the point. Gender equality is not just about one's struggle, it's about acknowledging what everyone is going through. And if you're talking to a woman entrepreneur, yes, we will talk about sexism because it
yeah,
happens. And that's what
yeah.
been happening with you also, with your investments, with your investors and people you are working with. But when it comes to family and friends, how are things around that perspective, when
Yeah.
when you are telling them about these things?
Yeah, I think change takes time. Of course, it doesn't happen overnight, and I would say the same about when the idea for that Sassy thing came about, the idea for the three products that we are doing came about. Obviously, it's a hush hush affair, and I think that happens in urban areas as well. Contrary to popular belief, definitely, it is such a I would say considered a sacred topic, or it's considered something that you don't really talk about. You never say the S word or the V word,
It's
right? Like
just a
I,
taboo. I think more than a sacred word, it's a taboo for our
yeah, yeah,
society.
absolutely. It is a taboo for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's something that I did face initially. I think, for example, I think the first thing my mother said was, "But ye teen products ही क्यों?" You know, why do you want to do this only? In a way. So I think even my family has come around, but I've also made that extra effort in a way that, okay, when we were sampling all the products, for example, we did some 50 variants, as samples for the lubricant and so on and so forth for our pubic hair and skin oil and the period cram care roll on too. There were many variants. I involved my parents in the research process as well. So I would actually take products home and test them on the skin, on the hand, and say that, okay, let's get feedback, and what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I think once you start involving people in the process as well, there is some kind of normalization that you're bringing about or aiming to bring about. So I think that's nice. Plus, I think now slowly and steadily, my parents are also coming to a stage when they're like talking about the work that I'm doing, or even if they talk in code language, or use code words, or don't say the word specs a lot. They would still, like, for example, yesterday, there was an interview that came out in the Femina. There was an interview that I'd done with them. So that's something that my mother shared with her friend, because she was an ardent reader of the Femina magazine, back in the day. So she shared it with a friend, and she was like, okay, look at it, this, her interview has come out. So I think those little things kind of add, and once you start sharing that with other people, I think that brings about normalization to an extent as well. And I think my father's been really supportive also, which is surprising, and it's a really pleasant surprise in that sense. So he keeps promoting me, and sharing whatever I put up on Instagram or on Facebook or on my LinkedIn, and he keeps resharing stuff. So that's been great, but obviously it's been a process. It's not always been like, oh wow, this is great, but more like, why do you want to do this? And I've taken the time to explain to them the problems that exist, and why it's important for women to take care of their vaginal health like they take care of their face, for example. So i think those things take time, so conversation should begin at home, and that's something that I believe in, and that's something that I try to do myself as well. So I try to involve them in the day to day, keep updating them on all things
Yeah.
regarding the business.
No, absolutely. Because I think people are more neglecting towards things because they don't have information about a lot of things. And once you start involving them in the
Yeah.
process, it's they start taking that interest. Like when we were kids, we used to hear these sayings, and still we do that. When in the classroom, when there are kids who are not paying attention, give them the task of teaching the entire class about it, and then that's when they'll take the interest in it
Yeah,
and they'll be very good at it. I
absolutely.
think that's the
Yeah,
whole part. It's the same thing with the family also, with friends also. Once you
yeah,
start
absolutely.
involving them in the process, they'll get to know about these things.
A lot of women, and I'm talking about like when you talk to friends or friends of friends as well. What happens is, because there's so much lack of education, that's one. When it comes to sexual health or sexual health products as well. Secondly, there's a lot of misinformation also. And coupled with the taboo, there are a lot of times when women have come back and said that I don't need a lube, without even knowing what a lubricant does, right? So a lubricant is not only something that helps in um, easing the vaginal dryness and enhancing your natural vaginal lubrication, but it's also something that makes sex more pleasurable and more fun. But naturally, I think there is also this narrative that women have been fed time and again, where you have been told that pain is a part of the package in every way, I think, emotionally, physically, and that's something you start believing in. So the idea of easing that kind of becomes a far-fetched thought. And I think what is more far-fetched is this idea of enjoying sex, or of promoting pleasure from a female standpoint. Because what happens is that, and I think a lot of times in a heterosexual relationship, even men feed this narrative to their partners. A lot of times, ego comes into the picture also from both men and women as well, where when you think that, okay, do I need a lube? You kind of think immediately that there must be something wrong with me to need it, and there can't be anything wrong with me. But that's something that we
Right.
need to educate people about. There doesn't have to that doesn't have to be the case, right? I mean, it's something that just it's just a tool that enhances your pleasure and makes things more fun and like more
Right.
interesting as well. Yeah, so I think that's a barrier, and that's a challenge that we still face. So we try to educate more and more people through our Instagram, through our newsletters, our blog, and talk about these things more openly, talk about normalizing female pleasure as well. That
Yeah, I was
it's
about to
completely
ask you
okay to.
the very, very same thing.
Yeah,
And before me asking, you
yeah,
just already answered the same point because when we talk about sexual pleasures, I mean, in this society, a woman's sexual pleasure is never spoken about, never talked about. Even during sex, it's more like the kind of myth that they are that there's gonna be pain, or no one talks about women
yeah.
orgasms. Let's begin over there.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, according to Indian society,
Absolutely.
women doesn't have orgasms. So all these
Yes.
things people don't talk about, and then telling them about the why would you need a lubricant. It's very difficult for them to make them understand, first of all, because they've never heard about it, and then telling them, okay, you
Mhm.
can use it, is a different step of it. So you very rightly said, it's
Yeah.
it's about the women pleasure. We need to talk about it, normalize it.
Yeah. And I think like this starts even way before, right? It starts when we are given sex education, if we are given any sex education growing up to begin with, right? So a lot of times the way sex education is imparted also is from a standpoint where you're taught that sex is meant for procreation, so never for pleasure, right? I mean, that conversation never comes up. So obviously, like, if your base, your learning base, and when you start learning about what sex is, it starts from a very narrow perspective, from a perspective that is very, I would say, underrepresentative of what reality is like.
Right.
um of course, start forming your opinions then, right? So I think it has to start from an early age to begin with, and then we kind of carry forward those conversations later.
I
But
think I
yes,
suddenly went
um
back to my school time when in our notebooks there was this reproduction chapter, and no one
yeah,
ever told us about exactly how what works and what it's about. And I studied in an all girls school, okay, and still our teachers couldn't
wow,
talk about it.
yeah,
And it's not their
yeah,
mistake because they were also taught in a similar manner. And after growing up, I got to know that there are so many parts
absolutely.
attached to it. That chapter will tell you exactly what is your pleasure point, how,
Yeah,
and that chapter should include about sexual health, the right way of having
yeah,
sex, XTDs, everything. But you were never taught
yeah,
at a very early stage, and now you are listening about it, and now you are knowing about it. When now you're like 27, 28 years old, and now you are thinking, oh, I should have learned it then.
yeah. I could have like had so much more fun, early on in a way.
Right.
uh, but no, I think you rightly pointed that out, and I think till date, a lot of us women, we don't know about our own anatomy, right? We don't know what the vulva and the vagina is. In a way, we keep using it in an interchangeable way as well. So I think a lot of things come from there as well. Like, we don't know a lot about our body, and I think also you did mention briefly about the orgasm, about female orgasms as well. A lot of women don't orgasm through penetration alone, right? They do need literal stimulation. So again, like, when were we told all those things? So we don't know how our body functions. We don't know what to expect. If we don't know those things, how can we communicate it to the other person as well, right? So that's what I meant by understanding our body, and really educating women about all those things, and then kind of coming to this conversation of why it's okay to need a lube, and it's okay to want things being more pleasurable for you. I mean, with the
Right,
partner or on your own as well. Things like masturbation as well. Why is masturbation healthy, and why shouldn't there be any shame around
right.
masturbation too? So yeah, I think that's all part of the package, and conversations and education becomes really important in that sense.
Because you started your venture during the lockdown, as you mentioned in
Yeah.
December 2020, was
Yeah.
it more difficult to reach out to more people? Because right now you're limited, like everyone's home and everyone's just stuck to one place, or even if they're going out, the movability is limited. Or was it easier for you because, right now everything is digital and it's much more easier to reach out to people? Why I'm asking this is because when you come up with a venture like this, I would maybe like to come to an event, like to attend like a session where people are talking about these things. But right now everything is going digital and you are just reaching out to people on your phone. You are expecting them to click on your post or listen to your videos and watch your videos. So how is that thing?
Absolutely. I think it has been very challenging for sure, because um, you know, things from a logistics standpoint were also up in the air for a really long time when the lockdown was happening. So I think from a business standpoint, things have been challenging, and of course from an event standpoint as well, because we had planned, we created a space where we actually wanted to have more interpersonal conversations and have a closed and safe space where we can hold group therapy sessions and actually have community of women come together and talk about different aspects of sexual menstrual health. So that all that kind of went down the down the drain, and in that sense, because of COVID. But I think we are trying to adapt to the new ways of doing business, and do things online also. But of course it has been challenging, because we plan to do things in a certain way, and all that has been changed completely. So of course, like that's happened with like a lot of businesses where they've had to um, work on online first strategies. Thankfully, we are a direct to consumer brand, and um, we're a digital first brand. So I think those,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, there are some things that are in our advantage, but obviously, like, we have operations, we have logistics, all those things were affected because of COVID as well. um, so yeah, I mean, it had its own sets of challenges, but we are kind of working around all that. And um, if there are no challenges like that, there isn't a startup to begin
True.
with. So I think has come along with starting up in that sense.
And Sachi, for all the women who are listening to you right now, tell them everything about that Sassy woman, what they can expect out of it, why should they get these products?
Yeah, definitely. So that Sassy thing offers three products right now, and these are all natural products designed keeping women and their bodies in mind. I actually have them like right here. So basically, this is, I'm just going to show you stuff as well. So this is a cute little pouch that we give along with each purchase. It says shameless, because that's something that we believe in. We believe that you should take ownership of your bodies and your sexuality and be shameless about it. And then we have our first product, which is our queen product. All our products are queen products, but like this is the sexual lubricant, which is all natural, it's water based and pH balanced. So this is designed with aloe vera, flaxseed extract, and lemon extracts. And this is something that makes sex more comfortable, but also more pleasurable, more fun if you want to spice things up, or if you want to use it for masturbation. It's a water based loop, so it goes really well with sex toys and condoms as well. It's safe to use with them. Then our second product, queen product, is you can see it right here. It's called Bush, and it's a an all natural pubic hair and skin oil. So it has multi purposes. So number one, you can use it to nourish your hair and your skin all over your body. If you grow the hair and hair down there also. And secondly, it also helps in easing any irritation that might come up, any rashes or itches, or redness or bumps that might come up after you wax, shave, or trim your body hair. So it's designed with the anti-inflammatory properties of hemp oil and some other extremely fragrant and interesting essential oils. So it's completely natural, and both our sexual lubricant and the pubic hair and skin oil are dermatologically tested safe as well, and they're designed keeping your intimate areas in mind. And then the third product, our third queen product here, is the soothing stick, which is a period cramp care roll on. Again, it's how it's different from some other products out there is that it's designed with the healing properties of hemp oil, magical hemp oil as we like to call it, and also other essential oils like geranium, lavender, yeah. And this comes in a 10 ml bottle in a roll on format, so it's super easy to carry anywhere in your bag, in your purse, or when you're traveling. So comes in super handy, and it lasts about 4 to 5 period cycles. So yeah, those are the three products that we have, and we are soon launching two more products designed keeping women and their intimate areas in mind. So that's going to happen in another month, so we might have to talk again
Wow.
when I talk about this. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, ladies, log on to this website right now. That Sassy thing. You will find everything that you want that you never thought you needed, but you actually do.
Yes, absolutely.
Sachi, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for sharing all the information with us
Thank you so much.
about your products, about everything that came into being. It takes a lot of guts to do what you're doing. So, all the really, really best.
Thank you. Thank
And I really, really hope we meet very, very soon.
Same here. I can't wait to catch up with you in person and talk about all these crazy, awkward things in person as well.
We will surely. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Sachi. It's
Take
been
care.
a pleasure.
Thank you. Same here.
That was Sachee Malhotra, the founder of That Sassy Thing. I have attached the link to her website in the description of this podcast. Thank you everyone for listening to Stories You Should Know and for sending in so much love and support for this podcast. We are trying to bring you new stories every once in a while, so stay tuned to us. Thank you for listening to Stories You Should Know. I hope you all are keeping safe. The pandemic is not yet over, so please take care of yourself. Help someone in need if you can, and be kind. This is Misty signing off.